Hey, my name is Maris, welcome back to my channel, and happy Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I am so excited that it's finally May and we can celebrate this. I think, it's important to celebrate our AAPI identities all year round, but I think May is a really special month to, it gives you an excuse to dive even deeper into these cultures. As many of you guys know, I'm Filipino American, so it's just, a really important month in terms of recognition and affirmation of the Asian American Pacific Islander experience. So this month I was trying to be really intentional about my reads and try to be as kind of a wide scope as possible in terms of the Asian experience. Yeah, let's just get into it. Most of these reads are based on Read with Cindy's Asian read-along. I used her prompts to plan out 5 reads that I'm definitely going to try to hit this month. Like, these are my priority reads, and I really loved how Cindy thought about the intentionality of like the different ethnicities that we're reading about. I know that the challenge is like, if you're gonna combine prompts for like one book, that book can have a focus on like one ethnicity, but the other books that you read should be from another ethnic group, and I really love that about it. I recognize that the Asia diaspora and the Asian experience is so non-monolithic. The first prompt is read any book written by an Asian author. So for that prompt, I will be reading The Mountains Sing, and this is actually going to be my next book after I finish the book that I'm currently reading. I'm reading this with my friend Connor from Bookstagram, and I'm just really excited because I don't know much about it, but I've seen a lot of really beautiful things on Bookstagram and BookTube. The Mountains Sing is set in the backdrop of the Vietnam War, and it sounds like it's a multi-generational story about the Tran family. I heard that it has a lot of themes of like womanhood and the struggles that women face during wartime, and I am so excited for this book. I actually bought this for Christmas using a gift card that my boyfriend's mom got me, so I've had this for a while. As a person who went to American schools like pretty much my whole life, we only learned about the Vietnam War. We didn't go that deep into it, but we only learned it through the eyes of the American experience, and yeah, I'm just excited to read through the lens of the Vietnamese experience. The second prompt is read any book featuring an Asian protagonist, and I'm so excited for this one. I'm finally gonna read Patron Saints of Nothing, and this is set in the Philippines mostly. The main character, Jay, he's Filipino American, and he spends the summer in Manila, I believe. Or he spends the summer in the Philippines to uncover the truth about his cousin June, and it has a lot of really poignant commentary on Duterte's drug war, and I know that this is going to be super relevant. I'm going to try to pester my friend Patrick into reading this with me because he wrote his whole thesis on President Duterte's drug war, and I'm excited to kind of get this fictionalized but very true to life account of the effects of Duterte's drug war in these Filipino communities. The third prompt is read any book written by an Asian author in your favorite genre. My favorite genre is fantasy, so I am really hoping to get to the Dragon Republic this month. I read The Poppy War this last month with a group of friends from Bookstagram, and I absolutely loved it. It was a complete 5-star experience for me, and I know that the Dragon Republic is even more brutal, even more gruesome, but we follow Rin and Neza and the other cast of characters that were in the first book, and I'm just really curious to see like what kind of historical context RF Kuang pulls from in this. Very high expectations for this book. This is Giselle's favorite in the series, so I hope that I love it just as much. And then for the next prompt, it's read any nonfiction book by an Asian author. For this prompt, I will be reading Crying in H-Mart. I am so excited to read this book. I know that it's about the author's experience with like how she grapples with her mom's cancer diagnosis and cancer treatment. I love books that revolve around family and parents and the relationship between mothers and their kids. I just think it's going to be a really fascinating book. I'm so excited that I won this book in a giveaway. I don't have it right now, and it's just going to be like a screenshot of the cover. Hopefully this one lives up to my expectations for it, and I'm sure that it will. And then the last prompt of this read-along is read any book written by an Asian author that's not US-centric. And this was very difficult for me for some reason. It was really hard for me to find a book that was that would fit this prompt but like wasn't US centric, and I think that says a lot about what I need to pick up and gravitate toward in the future. I know obviously like the Asian American experience is something that I identify with heavily, so of course I'm going to gravitate toward those stories, but I want to be more mindful about reading stuff that's not US centric in the future. But for this book, I have The Bastard of Istanbul. I am so excited to get to this. It is written by my favorite author. I've only read one of Elif Shafak's books. She's a Turkish author. She does amazing work, and I loved 10 minutes 38 seconds in This Strange Universe. Like, I will not shut up about that book. So very high expectations for this book. This is about Aja, who lives in Istanbul, and there's this like mysterious family curse where like the men in her family, I believe, die in the early 40s. So it's a book that I feel like it's going to be a character study of the woman in the family. And again, I love those kinds of stories. I love that the most about Pachinko, a book that I just finished. And I'm really excited to get to that kind of exploration in this book, and just honestly just pick up another one of Elif Shafak's book. I call her my favorite author, but I've only read one thing by her, so I feel like I need to read another thing to affirm that, even though I know that I'm going to love this. First, I want to recommend Poppy War by RF Kuang. I mentioned that I wanted to read Dragon Republic by her this month, but I finished Poppy War last month, and it wrecked me. I think it just has a lot of really interesting commentary and conversation about privilege and power and colorism. I also just really loved its take on faith and religion. I think that's really hard to kind of hit on the mark in terms of fantasy books, but she did a really great job. I also just loved the historical context that she pulled from. I don't know, you can just tell that she's like a really brilliant person, a really brilliant mind. I highly recommend this. I'm gonna post the trigger warnings in the description though, and content warnings, just in case you want to look at those before picking it up. I also recommend Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This is honestly like 90% going to be my favorite book of the year, and I read it in January. It's just beautiful, it's breathtaking, it's one of the most vulnerable pieces of literature I've ever read in my life, and it's written by Chanel Miller, who is the survivor of the Stanford sexual assault. And she is more than that. She is a writer, she is an advocate, she's an artist. She's just this really cool Asian American woman that I really look up to. I actually got one of her illustrations tattooed on my arm. It's a little doodle of like two creatures on a bike. I just wanted to get a tattoo of her art that symbolized the strength that she pulled from her community. Like the two men that saved her were on bikes, and they played a really big part in making sure that she was safe and listened to and advocated for. But I digress. It's just a really powerful memoir that details the experience that she had to endure post-assault, and the challenges of the legal system and the justice system. And as infuriating as it was, it definitely has a hopeful undertone. She really emphasizes that there's more to life after a traumatic event, and I really love that about that book. It's superbly written. I think she's a master storyteller. I cannot imagine being able to write that well, but hopefully someday I can get to Chanel Miller's level. And then I also wanted to recommend The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai. This one is a really fun one. It has an Indian American main character named Daisy who has to like make this dating plan work with her main love interest, Liam, who was like a childhood friend. They have this whole fake engagement plan to get Daisy's family off her back and Liam so he could get his inheritance from his grandpa, and it's amazing. It is my favorite romance of all time. It's sweet, it's genuine, it made me laugh like out loud, and it has a really strong undercurrent of family. So if you're in the mood for something like that that's a little bit lighter than the other books that might be on your TBR, I highly recommend that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a really great month and read some really awesome work by writers in this community. See you guys in my next one. Bye. What was that? Bye.